Thank you for joining us today on Sketched Out, you animals. We know you basically have the option to listen to anything in the world, and we really appreciate you choosing us. If you are interested in Cecil's artwork, you can find him on Instagram at the artwork of Cecil Porter. Facebook is Cecil Porter Illustration. The YouTube channel is Cecil Porter, and you can visit cecilporterstudios.com and support artwork and this podcast by purchasing prints and originals. As a reminder, if you do enjoy this content, please make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. And without further delay, let's pick up with the conversation.
Yeah, that's just meth light.
Our coach just had us on 50 milligrams of ephedra a day.
Nice.
Yeah. This was, of course, way before it was killing people.
Well, before it was like major news that it was killing people. And what kind of fucking soda water did you get? Is that pamplemousse?
Yes, it is.
Oh, you
They only had that
son
one.
of a bitch.
Why, you don't like it?
No, I like grapefruit. Actually, that's the only thing that I like. Oh,
I like the pure.
Grapefruit.
I like the pure the best. But
Jesus Christ.
they only had.
Ew, yeah. Did you feel it?
It tickled my lip. They only had the grapefruit and some weird ass flavor and key lime, and I hate the key lime.
Yeah, I liked the key lime for...
I never liked it.
I got it like twice, and I liked it because it was like a candy lime, and I was like, oh, this is kind of like a can. And then
Ashley loves the key lime. It just tastes way too fake to me.
For me it was too boozy. It was like I was having like a vodka drink. I'm like, I don't like fucking drinking.
Yeah,
so I didn't like that kind of taste.
I've been digging that one that you guys get. That's what I've been buying lately. The skinny can, the cherry something or other.
Cherry lime. Cetis.
Yeah, I like that one. Yes.
Yeah, that's a great one.
And Ashley, what's the other one that the bubbly or whatever? Yeah, Ashley, that's all
cherry
she wants
bubbly?
to drink now. That's all she wants is bubbly.
Because it's a Dr. Pepper with no sugar.
She doesn't drink that flavor, but that's like the only brand now. She won't drink the LaCroix anymore. It's got to be that bubbly shit.
The only bubbly that I've tried that I liked was that cherry one. We call it the Michael Bublé.
The Michael Bublé.
It's smooth. Oh, did you bring...
Folk.
Did you bring the memory card?
The hard drive, you mean?
Yep.
Yes.
That one.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at it. Because we should look at the videos just to see what they are, huh? And then maybe
I could tell you what they are.
Come up in conversation.
But this isn't a look at thing. These are like 6-hour videos.
Right. But so what are they? What's going on?
The one is the one that I thought. Well, first I want to talk about the guy's topics.
Oh yeah.
And that'll be a big thing right there because he had like 5 questions.
And I kind of want to start with something, and we'll lead it into him.
Oh, I want to go right into that. I want to talk about how we have listener questions and that we're going to answer those at the beginning of every show.
Okay. Sure.
But the tattoo that I think that we should talk about, they're all tattoos. That's all I got. The tattoo I think we should talk about is the Stephen King cover-up.
Yeah, that's all I want to talk about.
Cover-ups have tons of easy questions. So.
Okay. Yeah. Also, it was a really good cover-up.
Well,
dude,
fresh.
Dude. No, because I saw the way that you anyway. Well, we should talk about it.
I did. I changed the light source on it so that when that dark comes through, it'll just create a shadow.
Right.
So.
And it was just over the tip of his forehead.
It'll be a dingy shadow, but it'll read as a shadow.
It'll totally pull off.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah.
It'll pull off heavy because I know it was fresh when I saw it, but now you were able to position it first of all the right fucking way, facing the right way.
Yeah. Well, not just that, but the guy had thought the one he had was decent, and he thought I was just gonna color it in. And then
he had no idea what he was in for.
No, not until I did mine, and then he at the end he was even like, man, he's like, I thought mine was decent until I seen this. He's like, that one I had was shit.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Although I guess if that's your only frame of reference,
it blows me away. It blows me away that people can see tons and tons and tons of pictures online of like great tattoos, and then look at their dog shit tattoo. And until they actually see a good tattoo on themselves, it's like it doesn't click.
Dude, People are so ready to lie to themselves.
I guess.
Come on.
I just don't.
This is what everybody does.
Yeah, but I mean, when I don't understand how looking at it on the screen versus looking at it on your own skin.
You mean
can
like
be
people
that,
just can't be a little more subjective?
Yeah, a little bit,
you're
man.
Like,
you looked at 700 pictures online and you thought yours was good, but then as soon as you seen one on you, you were like, "Oh, mine wasn't good." I'm like, "How is that big of a difference?" Whatever.
Well, it is. It's like it don't matter unless it's happening to you.
I guess. I mean, I've learned,
I think people just kind of have blinders on.
There is a different reaction when people see it on themselves, but it is still like it will never make sense to me.
You will though, but sometimes you see it with a spouse too. Or when they come with like a
buddy
good
or something like that. Yeah, something about seeing it in person.
Somebody who's close to the process.
Yeah.
There's something about being there.
Yeah.
That's the bummer thing about tattoos too, is like it looks great on Instagram, kinda. You don't really get the full feel of the piece because you can't see it in actual 3 dimensions.
Yeah, when you can, because there's always distortion.
Totally.
I don't even care if it's like a back. Everybody thinks backs are flat. They're not. You got so many ins and outs around the spine and the shoulder blades, and that shit distorts tattoos, man. You can make a tattoo can look cross-eyed because of how it like maybe tilts on an axis just a slight bit because of a muscle.
Right.
But in person it doesn't, just because it's compressed on that photograph.
And that's the image that lives on into infinity.
That's why, and I'm not the only guy, but that's why so many of us, some of our best work we never post because it looks like shit in the photos. No matter which way you tilt the camera, it just looks like shit.
You got to release like a video or something, right?
Well, since videos do help a lot because it gives the eye, your brain some context. So you can
still get some decent lighting.
There has been a lot. It has been a lot easier to post those hard tattoos now that
wrap around the body.
Yeah, totally. Shit. But you still don't get a good photo to like put online or nothing.
And all those 3-panel photos where you line them up their dog shit.
Well, now you can't do that nowadays because everybody accuses you of photoshopping your photos if you do that.
Right.
You've got
which you have to Photoshop in order to get it to look like an image.
But people won't stop there. They won't be like, oh, he just put 3 pictures next to each other. Now they're like, oh, you doctored up the colors and you bumped up the contrast and da-da-da. And you're like, no.
Again, video reigns supreme, right?
Well, because now there's video shop.
Video shopping.
Yep. Now there's video shop. And so, it's hard. The thing I found to do is just to take a fucking photo with just tons of shit. They always say don't have any noise in your background, but I almost always do now because it makes it so much easier to tell whether something's been fucked with or not. There you go.
When you see a can of Coke, you're like, I know what a fucking can of Coke looks like. Why is that Coca-Cola can purple?
Yeah, or why is it so red it looks like it's glowing?
Right.
Or why,
or how come it's bent like a C?
Yeah. Oh yeah, when people use the fucking liquefy tool and
yeah.
I've
seen some beauties on there.
I mean, I just don't care, man. People should know by now with my shit that you what you see is what you get. I've been doing this long enough at this point. I mean, I got people referring to me as an old timer, so I'm allowed to just fucking.
There's enough examples of your shit from a decade ago, 8 years ago, 5 years ago.
Literally thousands of pieces online. Right. So if people, and because of guys like Aaron,
what's the website where all the where your images are? Because it's not on the illustration one, right?
No, the Cecil Porter Studios is the tattoo one, and same with the Instagram.
Oh, okay. So, duh. Okay,
Cecil Porter Studios,
and then is Cecil Porter Illustration is the store though still.
Yes, exactly. Okay. But there's if you like the hub would be Cecil Porter Studios, and then if you click on any of the art, it takes you to the store.
Got it. So that one that we built, that website we built, like
that's the store
long ago, right? That's still the store, right?
It's just a clusterfuck because we didn't know how to organize it. I just got to get somebody in there to do that.
We were just fucking.
Yeah, it works though. If you want to buy shit, I mean, people buy shit off there all the time. So
my only goal was, dude, we got to get you a store. You got to be making money.
I need to put shit up on there. I really do. Like I have about 10 more paintings I can put up on there now. I know. I just haven't put anything on there. I haven't put the stickers on there yet.
Oh, dude.
I know.
That's just
I know.
That's just lost for no reason.
Yeah, it's just money just sitting on the table.
Yeah. Well, plus there's just people that would probably love to get their hands on that artwork too.
Well, the stickers I think would do pretty good. Yeah. I like the stickers. But yeah, I don't know. I just now I gotta fucking take all new photos of everything since my computer died.
Have you? I know you were worried about it because of all the stuff you had in process. So, how's it been kind of navigating? Have you run into any of those clients yet? Where it was like where you lost
yes. And I have another one tomorrow, and it's a big one. And it's also a bummer because that was a 3-part video as well. That would have been that's a monster tattoo. The dude's like 6'5", and he's built. So it's like
and
it would be
what location on his body?
It's just the outside of his arm. But I shit you not,
but he's
dude.
a giant.
Oh yeah, I shit you not. Like it would be Ashley's back piece.
Right.
It's huge.
Right.
And it was a 3-part fucking video, and it's this crazy Aztec piece that I designed, and it would have been and now I just got one more session on it.
Yeah, the finish up.
Yeah, and it's like it's not even the.
What are you even gonna?
It's not even the cool session because we knocked the face out because there's a hot chick and it kind of builds around her.
Right.
We knocked that out because he wanted something cool to show off.
Well,
so it's like it's all fucking dog shit around the outside. Yeah. It's cool looking, but not.
But we'll do some kind of maybe we could do a video on finishing tattoos.
Well, one thing I'm gonna do is I talked to a couple artists, and the 2 things that they keep telling me that I need to do is basically like a fucking demo reel. I need to have like a demo reel with all my art, that kind of runs through where a couple seconds on each picture, and a demo reel of my tattoos. And because
you don't say, sir,
it doesn't really matter with the tattoos, but with the art, there's a lot of art directors now that will like go to people's YouTubes to see their portfolios.
Hey, not for nothing, your boy, okay?
But I don't have any like, I guess, online portfolio other than the website. But that, I mean, like literally, people are like, dude, art directors.
Let's put one together. I can put one together.
Art directors will literally go to your YouTube, and if you don't have one on there, they'll go to somebody else. And I'm just like, man, I never thought of that.
Well, let's get
because my whole life it's been you got to have a website that has all your art.
Right.
Which I have. But now it's like people will just go to fucking YouTube and look for a demo reel.
Really shortcutting it. Wow. Well, hey, the times are changing, so we got to change.
I'm working on it. I mean, I've made big strides in the last 6 months,
dude.
I
know. You'd rather have a flip phone still.
I wouldn't even want a flip phone. I want a cord to the wall. That it's 40 feet long and it originates in the kitchen.
You enjoy all the benefits of that fucking internet life too. Don't forget it. Every time you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, you whip that phone out.
I don't. I wish I did actually. I don't. That's the thing. Like it'll be later on. I'll be like, I had a fucking computer in my pocket and I never even thought to use it, and instead I just gave up.
Well, at some point you used it. At some point you benefit.
Oh yeah. No, I mean,
I wonder what percent of your brain like. You do outsource, maybe more like somebody who works in an office.
So I actually listened to a conversation about this. They think, because obviously, I mean, there's been studies that show that we're like not retaining as much information, right?
Of course.
There's a new study that I can't remember who's doing it. It might be Cambridge. I'm not sure, but there's a new study where they're trying to show how people are actually becoming more masterful at their thing than ever before, not just because the information is at our fingertips, but because our brain isn't holding on to superfluous information because we are using our phones for that,
right?
And our computers. So there's more capacity to like for memorization of something that we have now told ourselves is important, where before we would have to remember phone numbers and addresses and all this stuff.
You're super limited to what you could remember.
Yeah.
Those hard facts.
Yeah. And now we don't remember any of that shit. So it's like we're concentrating more on memorizing these skills that we deem important. And there are people out there that are getting better and better at stuff because now they're donating more and more of their brain power to that than they would be trying to memorize somebody's phone number or address or whatever.
Well, that's what the, like a bunch of the futurists, people freak out about AI and stuff, but a lot of the futurists say, well, what if the robots do all the menial jobs and all the humans are just around doing all the art? and that's kind of what you're talking about. Is people
don't have a head start.
People are outsourcing the mechanical stuff. Like, yeah, okay, I got an iPhone for that, so I don't even remember how to do that bullshit anymore. But they're really, really fucking good.
Yeah.
At like this kid building computers.
Well, I mean, you look at somebody like Eric to get to where he is, which is phenomenal, is taking him 20 plus years.
Yeah.
But you see these kids go through the school because now that school has streamlined this process down.
Of course.
And he tells the story where it's almost like it's not as cool as it used to be because you would have to do all the shit to get anywhere. But now it's so streamlined that in 3 to 5 years, these kids are killing it, and it's like it kind of takes some of the romance out of it. But,
well, I think it takes some of the ham and eggers out of it a little bit that only rely on time.
Yeah, and there is that. There are people that just stick it out for so long they inevitably become good at it.
And there might be a stroke master, but great. And I'm not the right guy anyway to have that conversation.
No, I mean, there is something to that where like your stuff becomes so academic, it becomes sterile. There was a teacher there who, when I first started, he was like, dude, you're going to be a rock star. He's like, you have a really cool style. He's like, get what you need from this school and get out. If you stay here too long, it's going to just sterilize your work, and he was self-taught. So he kind of seen something in me that a lot of the other guys didn't. And he also loves high chroma stuff, so my stuff sort of spoke to him more so than the other guys.
So right away he liking your shit.
Yeah, he's not a high chroma artist, but he's drawn to it, which made him like my stuff. And I understood what he said right off the rip, but I didn't give it as much value until I had been there for a couple years and started to see how my stuff tightened up and stiffened up because I started to make myself adhere to these hard and fast rules.
Right.
And
instead of just picking up the skills.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of part of it is you sort of have to get all tight and do this stuff exactly like you're told to kind of learn it, and then you can sort of loosen up.
So it's a good thing. You need to have that structure to learn the technique, and then you go off on your own. And
the problem with that is I see a lot of guys who only have this academic background, and then it takes them another decade or longer to find a style because they're so locked into these hard and fast rules, they can't do anything outside of that. Right. And some never do, and then so then it's kind of like you probably should just, I don't know how you would make it as an illustrator like that, as like a guy who's going to set a trend or anything. You're just going to be a guy going through the paces because you've got the skills to do it, but you can't branch out and discover you as an artist. Where's your voice? Because you're just using somebody else's
voice. You're going
voice.
through the motions more, really, right?
I mean, I think there's still a passion and all that to it, but it's just you're so locked into these rules that you're taught that you can't find your own voice. And if you don't have your own voice, then nothing's really going to set you apart. Finding your voice is one of the hardest things. People call it style, but finding your style, your voice, whatever it is one of the things that's the most, I would say the question that's asked most of me is how do you find a style? And there is, I mean, we've talked about this before. It's more or less just an amalgamation of all the influences, and the more influence you allow yourself to have, the more it's going to be hard to pinpoint, oh, this guy likes Rosetta, and this guy likes this, and this guy likes Sargent, and this guy likes that. And if you have so many influences in your style that people can't really pinpoint it to 1, 2, or 3 people, then that becomes your style.
Right.
Otherwise, you're
this-esque.
Yeah. Well, because there are guys that they'll be like, well, I want to be a fantasy illustrator and I like Frazetta. And then that's it. They just kind of study Frazetta and then they just look like a Frazetta knockoff. And it's like, well, then you're a knockoff. But there's not that much difference between that and having a style. It's just you allowed yourself to reach out beyond what you want to do. Like if you want to be a fantasy artist, don't just look at fantasy art and a Frazetta or whatever, Boris or whatever. Don't just look at that guy, but find influences outside of that. Like for me it was a lot of comic books and more of the hand painted stuff like 2000 AD and all that. But you start finding people who are influenced in different styles, and then later on in my life, it became more fine art and started to look at that. And at first I was like, well, I don't need to look at fine art because I just want to do illustration. But then I reach a point where I'm like, well, all my favorite illustrators were influenced by these fine artists. Maybe I should look at that.
Yeah.
And then you start to realize, like, oh, this is why they got that. This is why they like that. And then you start to develop more of a style, and I've always had kind of a natural lean towards high chroma stuff anyways. And I think that kind of makes me different, and because not a lot of guys do. And the ones that do tend to do more cartoony, like Hearthstone-y looking stuff. You don't really find guys who do like high rendered realistic stuff and still use high chroma. So I think that always gives my stuff a little bit of a different look.
Yeah.
And that was just because of my love of Basil Gogos right off the rip. When I first got to a point where I was like, I want to study artists, not just be an artist, but I want to study ones to get better. Basil was my first choice. And then Simon Bisley, who's just as crazy with color. So it was like...
So you were influenced just like everybody else?
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's one of those things where if you're familiar with the artist that I say I'm influenced by, and I start saying, oh, I was influenced by this and influenced by that, you'd be like, oh, yeah, I see it. Oh, yeah, now I see it. But to most people, I got 40 guys rattling around up there. Most people aren't going to look at that and be like, oh, he likes this guy. They're going to be like, that's his style.
He's like a mix of...
Yeah. They're going to just say it's a style.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest part of finding a style. And you and me could have the exact same influences, but our styles would end up being different because the thing that I might like about this artist, you might not.
Sure.
So we're all going to pick and choose our little thing, and it could be something minor, it could be something major, but we're all going to pick and choose our little thing, and that little thing is going to make us more unique. It's not like if we like the same 40 artists, we're going to have the exact same style. No, because you might like how he does feet, or I might like how he does core shadows. So, it's going to be different things that we decide we like from each guy.
Yeah, I mean, just even if you had like triplets or quadruplets and gave them, they have the same upbringing, they become different people. I mean, you're talking about art influences.
Yeah.
You could just like the way somebody draws hair, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. And that's a big thing. A lot of people are real thing about hair.
Yeah. People talk to you all the time about it.
Yeah.
That's why I said that. Yeah. It's like, and you're always like, I don't fucking get it. I just fucking make the hair.
Yeah. I'm just like, I don't know. I just look at the dude's head and I'm like, okay, that's hair.
Yeah.
I don't pay attention really to what the hair does.
But it works.
Yeah. And I think that's the main thing is, they'll teach you like pay attention to the masses and just worry about that. But everybody wants to do strands and then they end up doing noodle hair, and it's more just figure out, obviously the rule is squint, but find that large shape and then maybe go in and accent a few strokes that look like actual hair, and your brain will tell you that's hair. That's all you got to do. It's that easy. It's not, I think hair is one of the easiest things to do. It's nothing that I don't know why people are so hung up on it. To me, hard things are like back muscles I still struggle with, feet I still struggle with. That's the hard shit. Hair, who cares? When's the last time, unless somebody had an iconic hairdo.
Right, that's what I was going to say. Like, if it was like Cyndi Lauper, like...
Yeah, or Lucille Ball, or,
yeah.
Like, other than that, when's the last time you looked at somebody and was, like...
I was just trying to remember anybody's hairdo, and I was like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Just make it look like hair.
Nail the face.
Yep, face and hands. That's Alex Ross, I read a thing back in the 90s. He said, if you can nail the face and the hands, you can get away with murder. And that's, right then I started concentrating on hands because I was already pretty decent at faces, but that's when I started concentrating on hands, and they become one of my favorite things to draw now. Yeah. I love drawing hands, especially old, wrinkly, gnarly
It's the thing
hands.
that's still not done on that fucking card. It's the one thing I want to compare is the hands in the two pictures that you sent me. I was like, fuck, why couldn't...
Well, that's because I have so much fun with hands. I try to save something fun for the end.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get burned out if you're like, oh, I got 2 hours of background to paint. Right. I don't want to finish this.
More armor.
Yeah. I actually like that armor though, man. For my first try ever painting armor, it was fun.
Yeah, I was just comparing.
There's parts of it though where I'm like, that's a little 80s looking to me because I did so much blue and orange. Remember the old like airbrush?
But I'm trying to think of it in. I'm thinking it more in shrunk down terms.
Yes, and that's the thing. That's how I test it now. Is I look at it on my phone.
Right.
And I'm like, if that reads well, then I'm killing it. And even my buddy said, like, the last 3 that I've done have been the forms and the planes read so clear. And I even I see it, and I'm usually super critical of my shit, but even I see, like, since the old lady for sure, like the wrinkled handed old lady.
Yeah, but this compared to that,
Yeah,
the depth,
yeah,
of this image, and not just because there's a little cheating going on. I mean, that background,
yeah,
blending but I'm talking about the hands.
Yeah, well, blending him into the background definitely helped because that pushed his whole shoulder pads forward.
But comparing that to that looks like so much flatter.
Yeah,
especially of an image with just his hand coming out more.
But there's a lot of weird things in that too. Like the lights don't make sense. If you look at where the light's hitting his shoulder pad, it's kind of coming from kind of up and down. But then if you look at his face, it's coming more from the right. And if you look at his left, if you look at his hand, it's only coming from the right, and where his left. The hammer doesn't make sense. Like, there's so many mistakes. There's areas that are outlined because I couldn't make them stand out on their own. There's a lot of rim lighting on spots because I couldn't make them stand out on their own. Like,
but it looks cool.
Yeah, the modeling around the nose is lame compared to the new one.
One thing that I hate about it, I'll just tell you.
Huh. I love that. That's my favorite part.
I want there to be something happening there.
I don't know why I like that so much. I love that it's just
the beard.
Yeah, he just like lopped it off.
He just lopped it off, and not only lopped it off, there's like no fucking texture in it, and I want there to be so badly something.
I think what it is that it's the only thing that's really graphic.
Yeah.
On it, and I think I like that like graphic element. I know what you're saying because I thought the same thing when I did it, but I just really liked that graphic effect for some reason, so I left it.
But it's still cool.
I wouldn't do that again if I were to repaint it. I totally wouldn't do that again.
It's still cool, but the chainmail on the new piece is like fucking.
Yeah,
so
I've never even tried to paint that. Like, none of this shit I've tried to paint before, but I was just like, I just kind of made it up. That's why if you actually look...
Man, his nose is so good, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The modeling on the nose, like the planes read so clear. The only thing, I like his nose, but on the old one, I kind of like how it's a little bit of a hook nose. Like it looks like it hooks at the bottom. I kind of like that. I think my nose on my dwarves are starting to look too similar. So I'm going to start playing with shape on the nose a little bit more.
This nose is fucking... Just don't touch that. I'm a little confused by some of the lighting, like the orange, whiter blue, darker blue.
Yeah, that's just me playing around with the chroma. Value wise, it's correct, so you can get away with that shit, especially because the background's so noisy.
Just like I'm like, yeah, but it looks right.
Yeah, it's because the background. Because the only way you can get away with using crazy colors on armor or anything reflective is to have things in the environment that would reflect those colors. That's why the background is so chaotic, because I wanted to go crazy with the colors. So I had to have a crazy color. You don't have to.
That way you can show crazy reflections.
You don't have to. You could always make the argument that like it's just there. And I just didn't show it. But I wanted to show it, especially because I wanted to lose elements of him into the background. And so like obviously nobody's head, I don't care how bald and shiny it is going to reflect like that. But that kind of shit, like people like shiny. It's like the keys, dangling keys in front of a baby. People like that, dude. I'm telling you, like,
looks good.
Pieces that I put that on, like, because I don't do it often, but pieces that I put that on are almost always the first pieces to sell. People like it.
You're really close on this. What's the name of the card?
That's just Dwarven Armor. It's just an equipment card.
Okay.
It's one of the only equipment cards that actually has a character in it, because most of the equipment cards are just that equipment.
Right.
But I really wanted this one to be, I don't know. I just pictured I felt like it had to have a dwarf in it. So, I mean, he's not the focal point, obviously. I mean, he's, 50.
No, the armor.
Yeah, 50.
The armor is definitely.
Yeah, 50% of him's in complete blackness, and the hands have a lot of black too. It's just not there yet. So it definitely, the focal point is the armor, but I just didn't feel right just painting a suit of armor.
It would have looked weird. This is way cooler.
I think it's way cooler. Yeah. And I mean, honestly, like, if you're thinking in terms of selling, that has a good chance of selling. Just armor, maybe not, you know?
Right. But you have an actual character here.
Yeah. And he's got
cool.
got a lot of attitude for as minimal as you see him, you know? So there's definitely a lot going on there. I went crazy on that compared to the drawing. I just kept adding more and more texture to it. I kept thinking of like Drunk's nose. You know how they get like real like
that bulbous.
Yeah, and real pitted. Like they have all the weird pits and shit in them. And I just kept like trying to add more and more. I had to scale it back. At one point I went too far, and then I had to scale it way back. But when I was scaling it back, I just kind of blended shit out, and it actually started to look cool. So then I just hit a couple little hard edges, and it worked, and that was it.
I think I wore a butthole in this couch too.
Yeah, man. I know I did. I could like move around and be like, oh, there it is.
Yeah, I'm kind of like in my little. I've got like this nook. But what we need is like 2 fans circulating air in this room, and us sitting on like mesh chairs.
Yeah, so there's maximum circulation.
You know what I'm saying?
Instead of like this
dick.
little. Yeah, I could throw a roast back here and cook it in like 2 hours.
Yeah. We're just doing a pig roast behind our backs.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Disgusting. Yeah, and there's definitely going to be road noise in the background of this episode. So, road noise brought to you by the air conditioner fucking breaking and us needing to leave the door open on the quote fingers studio.
Yes. Dude, I found my new favorite artist. I'm obsessed with this guy. I can't stop looking at his work. Wow. I mean, he's not new. I guess I shouldn't say that. New to me. It's Jeffrey Catherine Jones. It's just he's amazing, man. I mean, you could totally see where Frazetta took a lot of influence from him, or maybe he took
influence from Frazetta, or Frazetta took it from him.
I judging by the dates, I'm saying Frazetta took from him, but that's speculation. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, honestly. I'm too ignorant. But I
mean,
he started
not somebody, like you said, not new.
No. He's was born before Frazetta, if I remember correct, I believe. And so that's why I'm more inclined to believe that Frazetta was influenced by him. But I could be wrong about that.
That's how it works in court. Born first, you win.
Yeah, he lived longer than Frazetta. He died in 2011. I didn't even know that. I feel so dumb that I don't know who some of these great artists are, man. Sometimes I'm like, how did I not know about this guy?
But there's so
Frazetta
many
even called him
people.
the greatest living painter, and I was just like, ugh.
But that's how it goes. When you have the world at your fingertips, the whole fucking world is there.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, so you missed out on that guy and that guy. It's like, how many artists do you look at in a day?
Yeah.
You know, compared to like when you were a kid, when you were 16 years old, and you caught a magazine, you saw what, a dozen different artists?
If that, because you know how it is, man. Magazines are pretty biased. Like every editor has their favorite dudes, so you end up seeing the same people over and over again in this such and such magazine.
But let's say you do, you get 10, 12 artists in a magazine. Fuck, you see that in like 2 minutes on Instagram.
Yeah.
Now. And I'm not just saying like all the bottom tier art that you're seeing on there. I'm talking about like high level shit that you can just dive down a rabbit hole.
It's so easy to find good artists. I know a lot of guys complain about like, oh, I do good art, but I get lost in the herd. And I'm like, it's easy to find good artists, man. Like it really is.
It's like no offense, but there's a lot of great artists making a lot of great art.
That's the problem.
You have to find your niche, and you hope your audience can sustain you. But
you just hope that you find your audience. That was the thing I was always told from day one: is never worry about whether somebody likes what you do. There's an audience for anything. What you have to worry about is how do you find that audience.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, we've all seen the most ridiculous horseshit stuff that has a huge following because that guy found his audience. It doesn't matter. Like, if somebody makes it, if somebody makes it, somebody will like it. It's that easy. So you just have to find your audience. That's the key.
There are people that like listening to us.
Well,
like, dude,
like might be a strong word.
Yo, we had a question come in, actually.
That's true. We had multiple questions come in.
Where is what? What are we working with here, boss? Oh, there we go. Let's go check out the email real quick because I remember seeing some questions come in. Yep. Here's one. We're gonna keep his name out of the discussion.
Can you refresh to see if he
he responded right here.
Oh, okay, good. Let me see here. Okay, that's what I thought he was asking. Yeah. So,
okay. So, first of all, if you have a question that you want Cecil to answer, you can send an email to reallysketchedout@gmail.com.
Or leave it in the comments below. But if you want to stay anonymous, send an email.
Yeah.
Because if you leave it in the comments below, I'm going to probably say who left the question.
If you're leaving it in the comments, that's public forum too.
Yeah.
So is what it is. But yeah, shoot an email if you want to be anonymous. We get questions in here each week, and we try to sort of incorporate them into the discussion. But I think from now on, we're just going to start calling out the specific questions that people.
Yeah, I think we're going to start the episodes, or at least somewhere near the beginning of the episode, we're going to start doing the questions
somewhere in there. So this week, one of the questions that came in that was really interesting was from a guy who, he's saying, hey, he's doesn't have too hectic of a life. He's saying he doesn't have kids, but he's an artist, and he has a girlfriend. He has a full-time job, and, he just doesn't feel like he's getting the amount of time that he should be able to dedicate to his art. And not just his art. I mean, he does talk about saying, that he's not eating as well anymore either too.
Yeah,
so.
it seems like basically he's allowing a lot of outside influences to stop him from doing the things that he wants to do, and he's having a hard time getting that balance down.
Right.
So, I feel like that's a good topic for a lot of artists. I have that problem. Me and Ashley have gotten into many disagreements because I devote too much time to my art. My body clearly isn't what it should be because I devote too much time to my art. And when I'm not, I'm devoting that time to my family. And so you have to prioritize. What I've noticed in my life through people that I know who do art is that anybody who is with someone who is not a creative has this problem. I've seen couples where they're both creatives and they get it. Mm-hmm. They may not like it, but they get it. But when you're not a creative, it's really hard for the other person to understand why you want to put so much time and effort into something. I think when you kind of get to that point to where the only thing you can do is this thing. That's the only thing you can picture yourself doing. It's the only thing you want to do. It's the only thing that fulfills you. In a lot of cases, these people self-identify as that thing.
Right.
Then it's hard to not give time to that.
But if you're not someone that has one of those things, it's hard to connect to understanding. Man, why the fuck does this guy need to spend 12 hours, 15 hours doing this?
Let's just say in like Ashley's case, her thing is working out. She works out like an animal, but that's still an hour a day, right? And then
if
she's
somebody
done.
Was a savage, an absolute savage, 3 hours a day.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes she'll go to 2 classes or whatever.
But I mean the most savage, right? 3 hours a day.
Totally.
That's,
Yeah. So it's hard for her to be like, well, my thing takes this amount of time. I don't understand why your thing takes that amount of time.
Right.
In my case, there's a lot more leeway, I guess, because my thing pays the bills.
Sure.
But it seems like
you and me have gotten into conversations before too, where I'm like, yo, what's going on? Are we gonna get some logo going? And you're like, dude, I don't have the time.
In this situation, it seems like it's not paying the bills. So he doesn't have as much of a leg to stand on, I think he feels.
Yeah.
There's a couple different things here. And this is to anybody. The thing is one, if you want to be a good artist, you find the time, period. End of discussion. If you want to be a good artist, you find the time. if you want to be a hobby artist, then don't put that pressure on yourself. There is nothing wrong with being a hobby artist, man.
Exactly.
And this is the thing. If you're a hobby artist, you're kind of at the sweetest position that you can have as an art, because you love to do art, but you're not relying on it to pay bills. It's not a job. You can do it purely.
It's still fun.
Yes, you can do it purely for the emotional enjoyment that you get out of it. I can't do that. I can't. I take jobs I don't like to take. I take jobs under excruciating deadlines.
Art is your job.
That's it, man. I work ridiculous hours, and I don't get paid top dollar. So I can't scale back the amount of work I take on. The thing is that if you're a hobby artist, be truthful to yourself that you're doing this because you just want to do art as a hobby, and don't put that pressure on yourself to sacrifice, because that's what it's going to take. Now, if you want to go beyond hobby and you want to make a profession out of this, then you got to sacrifice.
Right.
You're going to have to start excommunicating things from your life, whether that is go into the gym or sleep. In my case, it's always sleep.
But there's probably better places to start. Cutting time.
Right.
Because people have a lot of bullshit time in their day.
Yes, but I've just whittled a lot of things down. So look, this is the thing I did. And this might seem extreme, but to give an idea, I used to time myself with everything. I had a fucking timer, and I would figure out exactly how much time I spent doing shit. I would catalog it, and I would see where I could trim time. And you'll find like, oh, I spent a half an hour watching TV. Boom, there's a half hour. Yep.
That's what I'm talking about. You're talking my language now.
Yeah. I spent
planning.
I spent an hour. I don't know. There was all kinds of shit I was doing that was wasting time, being on my phone.
Man, you go on that thing on your iPhone that has your screen time.
Yeah.
And you can see how much time you spend on all the different apps.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And the thing is you start cataloging the time, and you find out you might have 4-5 hours of shit you can get rid of.
Right.
It's not important. If you want to be a professional artist, that's important. Find the shit you can get rid of.
Now, and think about it, like 4 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Exactly.
28 hours a week. So you're doing in a month. You're doing what, 130 hours or whatever. So I mean, if you just had meaningful practice for that amount of time.
That's exactly what it is. Don't just draw when you sacrifice that time. Do it meaningfully. Sit down, have a plan, know this is what I'm going to work on, this is what I'm going to study, because that diligent study is what's going to make you better. You will get a little bit better just by drawing through repetition and so on, but it isn't the same thing as sitting down and practicing. The other thing is, if you're sitting there watching TV, if you have to, because you have to have social time with your significant other, draw.
Right.
Have a sketchbook in your lap and be drawing.
Put her head on your lap and your sketchbook on her fucking head if you have to.
Dude, I can't understand how you could just sit and not be drawing.
How about you just draw what you're watching even, right? I mean,
totally. Just sketch, just freeform sketch even.
Right.
Just get that mind muscle connection, build up your decks. If nothing else.
So there you go. There's one ding ding ding.
Yep.
There's one actual answer out of us. When she wants to hang out and watch TV and sit on the couch, you've got your sketchbook out, or you've got your paints, whatever you've got, it's already set up, or you've got her in the tuck ready to pull out. And as soon as you're like, yep, sure, babe. And you show up with your sketchbook and you start sketching right away.
Yeah.
There. Now you both win on some of that time. But
the
bigger point that you were making was you do have to sacrifice some of your time with other people, especially when you are learning. When you're in the heavy early learning years, you need to dedicate. You're front loading a lot of those the learning hours in those early years.
And here's the thing. This is
learning versus performing.
Yes. Here's the thing, and this is hard for a lot of people to sack up and do, but you basically have to look at it like this. If you want to be a professional artist, I'm going to assume that's your dream. Otherwise, why would you want to do it?
Right. You have some kind of passion for it.
Right. If the people in your life are not supporting your dream, that's on them, not you.
Right.
Would that person, if they came to you and said, my dream is to blank, would
you want to be a banker?
Yes, I don't care, whatever it is. Would they tolerate you telling them, basically, I don't care about your dream. I want you to give me your undivided attention. Right. That's a pretty bullshit answer, man. And so if that person isn't willing to support your dream, then I don't know how much that person needs to be in your life.
And here's something that, just from a practical standpoint, because I go through this with my wife. You know, when people do have a passion for things and like, you know, we're trying to build businesses and et cetera, it's like having another person in your life.
Yeah.
So it's legitimately like adding like another spouse into your life, a really needy spouse, you know, and a spouse that wants all of your fucking time.
Yes.
And needs all of your fucking time. And you need all the time with that other spouse too. And you feel like shit, fuck, I know I'm supposed to want to spend more time with you, but goddamn, I'm just like, my thing, man.
The other thing though is when you are with the people who you are now sacrificing time with because of your dream, be fucking present. Make it positive every time, because if you're a dick, then they're going to start to equate the time that you spend together with you being a dick, and that's going to make it harder for you to have time to follow your dream, one. And two, make the most out of the time you do spend with that person, because 3 hours of quality time with somebody is going to make them a lot happier than 10 hours of you not really being there.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, trust me, if I'm half in my phone while, you know, we were just talking about, if I'm half in my phone while I'm hanging out with my kids, I'm not hanging out with my kids.
Yes, be present. Be present. You'll find that people will be a lot more lenient with the time you want to dedicate to your dream if they feel like you're putting that same amount of effort into the time you spend with them. But the problem is that people are going to get jealous. And if they see you going after this other thing with all your energy and not giving them energy when you're supposed to be spending time with them, they're not going to like that. And that's understandable. You know?
Yeah. And just, I mean, it just makes sense too for people, you know, you have to carve out the buckets, the different buckets of your life.
Yeah. You have to keep the cup full. That's what the therapists always say, right? You got to fill the cup. Right. So if you're spending 10 hours of time with her, but the entire time you're in your phone, you're not paying attention to what she or he says.
Or you're just thinking about drawing.
Which is hard. That's me. I'm not going to lie.
But let's talk about it, because what do you do? Because
you have to have a mental checklist. You have to do this thing of like, this is what I have to do. I shouldn't say you. Everybody's going to find their own solution. For me, when I spend time with the people that I care about, I make sure that I do the things I feel need to be done. How is your day? What have you been up to? How are you doing? How are we doing? You know, make sure you ease them into that conversation, and then ask them, how are we doing? Is everything good between us? Because if it's not, you know, this would be the time to talk about it. I don't want this to become a big issue, blah, 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 blah. And then just make sure that, you know, like the thing when you start dating somebody, make sure that it's not all about you. If you're just paying attention to your phone or your sketchbook or whatever, then it's all about you, and you might as well not even be in the room.
Right.
And it's a skill, but it's a skill where you can sit down and you can draw and you can still have a conversation. I do it every fucking day. So
that's what I wanted to get to, was how much of that is okay, how do I say this? How much of that is you're doing some shit out of like body repetition?
It's not, though. I can have really, really deep conversations, but it does take time, because you I think what happens is, at first when you're starting to learn, you're concentrating so hard that it's hard to concentrate on anything else. So at those times when you're spending that real quality time with your significant other, if you're still in that stage where you can't concentrate on something else because it's more intuitive, the art side of it, then don't draw, but maybe have a notebook with you so you can jot down ideas if they pop into your head or something.
So does that come up where you're like, oh fuck, you're sitting around with the kid and you're
I've got a notebook.
Like, oh shit, I gotta write this down.
Dude, I have a notebook on me at all times, and if for some reason I don't, I'll text it to myself.
Right.
You know, but I mean, have you ever seen me without my notebook? I always have it, because if an idea pops into my head, I know how dumb I am. I'm gonna forget it in 5 minutes. I gotta write that thing down.
Yeah.
To summarize, you're going to have people who are going to demand your time because they care about you, and people that are going to demand your time because they don't support your dream. Figure out which type of person that person is. And if they don't support your dream,
bye.
Well, not right off the bat.
No, I'm talking about specifically this gentleman that reached out to us. In his position, he kind of...
Yeah, you don't know, though. Because sometimes guys aren't very good at explaining themselves. So approach that person. Explain to them how important this is to you. Explain to them if they were in your shoes and they were pursuing a dream and you were stopping them from pursuing that dream, would they be happy about it? Let them see how they would react to it. And then again, if you're not being present when you are with that person, don't expect them to support your dream, because then you're not being present at all. So if you're having time where you're actually being present with them and they're not supporting your dream, then start thinking about what you might need to do. But make sure that you have pursued the right avenues. Don't jump the gun and be like, you're not supporting my dream, blah, 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 blah. Man, this person may not understand for sure how emotionally attached you are to it, how much it means to you. Make sure that you explain that to them. The other thing is sacrifice, man. There is definitely areas in your life, and I don't even need to know who any of these people are. There are areas in your life that you waste time.
All of us.
Decide how important it is for you to be an artist, and then you will find a way to reallocate that time to the thing that you want to do, and I guarantee you'll find more time than you think. There always is.
Oh yeah.
I don't even care if you're working your day job and you're on your lunch hour and you're not drawing, you just wasted an hour.
Right.
You know, there is time
30 minutes
everywhere.
if you're working, man.
but there is time everywhere.
Oh yeah.
You know, even
dude, tell me about it. I live my whole life is like built around the time in the day and how much I have to allocate.
If you're as anal as I am, then time yourself. If you find yourself wasting time and see how much you end up wasting throughout the day. Yeah. I mean, there was dumb stuff. I would find that like just moving certain supplies closer to me, I would save an hour or two a day than having to get up and go to the other side of the studio and get it 30 times a day. You know, there's things you can find time.
So you can streamline some of that, but well,
with the emotional relationship issues, yes, you really have to explain to them what this means to you. Make sure they understand this isn't a hobby. This is something you're pursuing. This is something you care about. And
if it's not, if you decide that hobby versus professional route,
right,
you're thinking professional. Well, that's a whole nother.
Yes.
That's a whole. It's actually a whole different conversation.
If it's a hobby, then stop being selfish. If it's a hobby, then you're being selfish.
Then do all the stuff we're still talking about. Though.
Yes.
Apportion your time, figure out your budget.
Totally. But
if it's a hobby and you're not going to be trying to shoot for the stars with this, then chill the fuck out, man.
Yeah, totally. And if
you're going to be an engineer and you like to draw on the side, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, that's awesome. Own that, because that's the sweet spot, man. Yeah, you're drawing just because you love to draw. That's man. What a better position.
You can have a bunch of fucking money to do it too.
And nobody's yelling at you to get it done yesterday. Nobody's telling you to draw it different. Yeah. You know, I mean,
how do half these fucking guys not get, anyway? I don't.
Yeah. So, anyways. I guess that's the rambling answer for that. Look, if that doesn't answer the question, then ask something a little bit more specific. And if you don't like my answer, I'm sorry. That's just what it is. If somebody doesn't support your dream, then you shouldn't have that person in your life. And if it is not your dream and not your passion, then stop treating it like it is. And just have fun.
Now, let's assume this is, though, this person's passion. There's kind of a second part to his question, which was, how old is too old to follow your dreams, basically?
There isn't.
Fuck no, there ain't, man.
There ain't, man. Dude, do you know how many people don't even figure out what they want to do with their lives until they're in their mid-40s?
Yeah.
The thing is that...
That's where midlife crisis
I'm telling you, man, you're in a sweet spot because you're not a fucking kid. Even kids who know what they want to do, fuck off. They all do. They all do. When you are an adult and you're more mature and you have life experience under you, you not only know how to learn, but you also know how to learn without wasting time. When you're a kid, you waste time. You don't you just don't, even when, like, I look back when I was like 26 and I'm like, man, I was grinding so hard. I look back at it now and I'm like, I wasted so much time doing dumb stuff, you know? And the thing is when you're older, you know how to learn better because you have so much more life experience under yourself. Anytime I see an older person start a new thing, they always seem to catch on so much quicker than other people. And it's because you've learned to learn.
Right.
When you're a kid,
you can trim the fat, get to the bottom of what's going on.
When you're a kid, you're still learning to learn, and you're going to make those mistakes where you end up wasting time because you haven't even learned how to properly learn yet.
And you're also just distracted by being in your fucking 20s, bro.
Plus, if you're in your late 30s to late 40s and you've learned how to earn a living doing something, that skill set is applicable to everything because it comes down to working hard. And so now you know how to work hard, and now you know how to apply that to your new thing. And here's the thing I talk about a lot. A lot of people go, oh man, I'm too old to do this because I didn't, become a millionaire at it by the time I was 20. I'm not Mark Zuckerberg. I'm not this. I'm not that. Well, you know what? Nobody is. The reason you hear about those stories is because they're so crazy. You look at the majority of successful people, and it didn't happen to them until they were in their mid 30s to late 40s.
It's a struggle.
And it takes a lot of grind work to get there.
I was going to say, yeah. It's not necessarily a struggle.
Yeah.
I mean, although it does feel like a struggle at times doing things, but it's just that you're grinding.
Yeah, and the thing is that the reason we hear so much about the young people who do it is because it is so rare. It's not fun to talk about the thing that happens all the time.
Yeah.
That doesn't make news. That doesn't blow minds. Who wants to hear about another 45-year-old who finally made his position in life? Ugh, that's what everybody does. So don't beat yourself up, man. You're not too old. I've seen guys, dude, I've seen guys not even start practicing art until in their 40s. And then by the time they were in their mid 50s, they were killing it and earning a great living and had a reputation and were just doing really well, and
hey man, I'm gonna, look, I'm a prime example. I've never had I gotta be an illustrator, or I need to work in comic books, I need to do this. I've never had one thing. My skill has always been my ability to learn other people's skills. So I only just figured it out like a couple days ago, where I was like, oh, I'm not actually good at anything. I'm good at being good at things that people are good at. I don't know how to explain it. But I can kind of move into situations and adapt that. But I've only been able to do it as I got a little bit older. So it's actually being a little bit older is helpful to my brain. I've slowed down a little bit, and I say, okay, I can actually survey the situation. What's going on? You kind of take situations in totality. Needs to be that,
because I don't care who you are. There's an emotional attachment to things you do. You have to have a guy like you who's on the outside, who really doesn't have to give a shit. And then they can look at it and help prioritize the things that are and aren't important based on facts, not emotions.
Sure.
Because when you're in it, you allow your emotions to clear or to cloud your mind and make you think that things are fact that aren't.
It happens all the time.
Yeah. So you need to have outside people. And the other thing, we talked about this before, is you can't just surround yourself with yes men, because those dudes will gas you up and make you feel like you're accomplishing shit when you haven't accomplished anything. So you need to have real people who, when you're doing good, will tell you you're doing good. But when you're not, they'll be like, hey man, you haven't done shit in a month. Like what's going on?
What's up?
So having that skill,
so even though you fucking hate it, I still got to text you every once in a while. I'm like, what's going on with those cars?
Dude, it has to be done. Especially because when
you'd ever miss a fucking deadline, but
well, because too, when you're in it, man, time flies too. And weeks can go by and you think like something was said or done yesterday, and it was like, no, dude, that was a month ago, and you're like, oh my God, and so. But anyways,
think everybody can relate to that feeling too. Well, this gets right to hit back to this question about, how old is too old to follow your dreams, which we've already decided, obviously never. Just there is always a way of going about it we've talked about this kind of a running theme. Like there's always a way to do it. If you really want to do it that fucking bad,
you find a way.
Will fucking do it.
I think too, when you get older, there's a sense of urgency put on everything, right? Everybody thinks that kids are really impatient, but I'm telling you, that sense of urgency when you get older, the one thing that you have to understand, man, is that like no matter what age you are, you're looking at a journey. You're not going to speed that journey up. The secret to being a good artist is to just put in the mileage. So, like, don't rush it. You know, I know it sounds cliche, and I know you hear this from everybody, but I'm telling you, it took me a long time to not only understand this, but to fully appreciate it. Learn to love the journey, because if you don't, you'll never reach the destination. It's too long, and, you know, in a lot of cases, you're not going to reach that destination because you're going to set a goal for yourself. You're going to hit that goal. You're immediately going to have another goal, and that's going to be the rest of your life. So if you can't learn to love the journey, then you might as well just quit now, because
it's going to suck.
Yeah, you're just setting yourself up for a lot of heartache.
And he did ask one other question, which was he wanted to donate to the show to buy a beer or something for us doing this.
Yeah, so look, hey, here's the thing, man. We love that you guys like the show, and just liking it, subscribing, leaving a comment is amazing, because it's cool that somebody out there feels like they're getting something from the two of us just sitting here doing this, right? I love it.
And when you interact, then we know you guys are actually seeing what's going on.
And so there's been a few people now who have donated. That's so amazing. Like the fact that you guys want to help us do this more often and put out better content is incredible. The other thing that I don't think a lot of people consider, though, is that like you don't know how awesome it makes us feel that you want to donate 10, 15, 20 bucks here, there, or the other. That makes us feel so good, because it's like, that's not just you enjoy it, but now that's telling us that you find value in it.
Right.
And that's, you know, like I said from day one, and like I say in the intro video to the channel, that's the whole reason that I do this, is because I want to help people come over these little hurdles that you don't hear spoken about very often amongst artists. And so the fact that a few of you have been like, wow, there's value in this, I want to help them do more, that's freaking amazing. If you guys do want to donate, I'm going to set up a Patreon soon, but in the meantime, you can just use the PayPal, and that would be my email, which is just CEPTAT2@yahoo.com.
That email will be down below in the video if you're watching this on YouTube as well. So you can always click that as well.
Yep. And once I get the Patreon up, we'll tell everybody about that. But thanks again, man. Everybody out there who's leaving questions and comments, and especially the people who donate, you guys all rock. So thank you so much.
And bet your ass now I'm going to put legit on my resume that I'm a paid podcaster.
Hey, I started for my LinkedIn and stuff that I send out to all my art directors and stuff, I started putting on their game developer now.
Hey, we're doing them things.
Dude,
so it's not a joke. You know, these things are coming. Most of the things, by the way, when people hear Cecil talking about this stuff, it's not because it's something he's conceiving of it currently. The conception was done a long fucking time ago, and releases are coming.
Oh, yeah, dude.
That's the whole point. That's what we're talking about. A lot of the needling that goes on.
Hey, look,
you know,
to those of you who don't know out there, I've been working on this world for 7 years. I have a 10-year plan, and I've been 7.5 years into it at this point. And I've been working on the game that's going to kind of launch this entire world for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
2.5 years now. So this isn't something that's happened fast, and it isn't something that's going to happen. It's something that is happening, you know? So, people, they ask me all the time, how are you going to do a game? How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? Man, I'm not going to. I'm doing it.
It's almost done.
That's the thing, you know? This thing is this. There's always, in art, there's usually two types of people. When I was in comic books, they would equate this to comics. They'd say there's two types of people: people who are going to do a comic and people who are doing or have done a comic.
Yep.
Everybody's going to do a comic.
Sure, I'm going to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Real soon, actually. Any
but,
day.
But it just never happens. The people who are going to do it, before you know it, they've done it. You know, and the only reason that I'm talking about this game is because I want to crowdfund it. It's going to help me go a long way into not only producing the game, but also because the places that I want to get worldwide distribution from are creator-owned companies. But there's a couple people that I've spoken to, and once the game is done, if I don't have to rely on them financially, that gives me the opportunity to retain the rights to the game.
So basically, if we can crowdfund this appropriately to produce everything, then you as the artist will get to retain the rights.
Correct.
Which means the artist gets paid
basically,
for the art.
Basically, they will only take a percentage of distribution because that's what I'm utilizing them for, is the distribution for the worldwide market, because I don't have that. So yeah, it's just one of those things where this has been a long time coming, man. This has been a dream of mine for a really long time, and I'm just glad to be able to put it out there and see how you guys like it. Butter snatch.
I'm not going to edit that out. There's just going to be you're going to say butter snatch like 30 times while we're hanging out.
I'm in the butter snatch right now. I don't even think that's not a thing, but I'm in the butter snatch like you were into deep fakes.
Deep fakes?
I think the next segment kind of go over the process.
What process? Hold on.
I guess I kind of did, though, huh?
I got the...
Oh, I almost grabbed those, and I thought, Joe's not going to like these.
I'm giving them a shot. I'm going to give the natural red vines a shot.
I was like, if I take him natural ones, he's going to look at me like, what the fuck, dude? Like, if I wanted that, I wouldn't have got candy. Let me try one. I got to see what this is like.
A little bit more reasonable. I'm trying to be more reasonable in my snackdom.
Oh.
Oh, remember, there's a different flavor, too.
I mean, this isn't even, like, the same texture or nothing.
This is berry twist.
That's what I like about Red Vines versus Twizzlers, is the better texture.
The crumbles.
Yeah, this is not
so
the same.
So it disintegrates more. Well, it's quote-unquote natural, which means there's, 2 grams less sugar in it or some fucking bullshit.
Join us next week on Sketched Out as we continue our discussion about nothing important. If you have questions you would like Cecil to cover in the podcast, use the email reallysketchedout@gmail.com and include the phrase podcast question in your email subject. Also, this podcast is currently unsponsored. If you would like to sponsor an art podcast that isn't about art, but isn't really about other things either, email reallysketchedout@gmail.com. As always, we'll see you next time, animals.